blowing away in the east, or at least it will be on Monday. And we still have got some residual snow up to the north and some rain showers and some snow showers and even some snow squalls going on as a strong upper low passes through this evening. Another round of winter weather for the west and not too shabby in the middle. We've got a week ahead that may not have much rain in the forecast. Now, there's a switch and even a decent warm up. So, we will be talking about that and much more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. You can get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the descriptor to this podcast. And if you purchase this or anything else from the Tempest website, because they have a lot of weather gadgets and gizmos and smart weather fashion, use the coupon code Winter2324. It's not done yet. And if you do,
You'll get 10% off, but winter's going to be over, Joe, astronomically, in about 9 days.
yeah, I know. I just wanted to
So
throw in that obvious little
get it while
cliche.
get it while it's hot or cold or whatever.
A reminder to everybody that tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m., our special guest will be Nick Gregory of Fox 5 TV in New York. He will be joining us. So if you haven't marked it down on your calendars and put it in your phone or your mobile device so that you don't forget, it is your opportunity to put it in your mobile device. So don't forget to put it in your mobile device. And there you go.
Yeah. And turned out to be a fairly miserable day out there today. Just windy, cold. Temperatures were struggling all day to make it above 40. I'm wondering if it did make it above 40. We also had some showers too. So, not exactly the nicest looking day. And of course, last night we picked up a pretty good dose of rain. What else is new? So, we could use a bit of a break from all of this week.
Phone King One says that we are both up for Oscars tonight. Well, that is true. Um, we are. However, we're we'd rather be here doing the show than sitting in Hollywood getting $108,000 gift bag or whatever it is it's
Yeah,
worth.
this morning on CBS Sunday Morning, they had an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, who's doing the hosting of the Oscars. And he says and get this now, folks, he's only making, to host the show tonight, he's only making $15,000. Only.
Well, it's a 3 hour show, and he's a high paid talent. But they each get these gift bags
Yes, I,
from, and I think the value of the gift bag is something on the order of it's well over $100,000. They have to pay tax on that.
no, couldn't be $100,000 in
No,
a
it is.
gift.
It's a yeah. Are you kidding me? From all the all the companies that want their names exposed. Yeah, the gift bag is worth like 100 and something thousand dollars.
So let me get this straight. If you've been nominated for an Academy Award, you're going to get a gift bag worth over $100,000. And meanwhile, the guy who's hosting the whole thing
Well,
is
he
only going to
gets a
make
gift. He gets.
15,000.
I'm sure he gets a gift bag too.
Oh, I would hope.
Um, yeah, the gift bag is from companies that, well, they're the latest, jewelry, perfume, whatever it is they get. But I was reading someplace that it's the value of the gift bag is well over $100,000. They get 1099s for that, so they have to put it on their tax return. So they're
I can
paying,
imagine.
yeah. So they're basically going to pay a third of that. They have to pay. Yeah, however they do their taxes, which I'm sure is complex, uh, being that they're independent contractors, they get to write off a lot of stuff. So anyway, just kind of throwing that out there. We have a gift. We might have such a gift bag for Nick Gregory tomorrow night. You never know.
Well, you remember at the Emmy Awards, they gave all the participants a gift bag. It wasn't $100,000. One year, I brought my son with me, and he got a gift bag. I got a gift bag, and then when we got home, he spent the rest of the night taking both gift bags opening them up and putting them on the table and just like collating everything. There, books and little tchotchkes here and there. Certainly not, again, worth $100,000, but
Well,
somebody was.
I wouldn't know because the year that I was part of a nomination group, I was not permitted to go. And
Oh,
that'll be a story that will be in my book. And yes, I will name names.
okay.
Yes, welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background but watching intently, I'm sure. Big hugs to everybody. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us. Now we've got some schedule changes coming up for this week. Um, Tomorrow night is at 7:35, and we have Nick Gregory as a guest. Tuesday we will be at 8:30. Okay. Wednesday we'll be back at 7:35, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be off days. Next Sunday, may possibly be an off day, depending on whether I get back from Florida in time. We'll see how it goes. But for now, that is the tentative schedule. So just mark all those things down. Oh, and if you like the show, hit the like button because Joe likes to ring the bell at 100 likes, and he hasn't gotten to ring those bells in the last couple of days. So make him happy, make me happy too, to get us to 100 likes. So
Before we get into the weather part, may I just ask a question of, and maybe some of you out there are, know how to rectify this, maybe not, probably not. And I mentioned this to you a few days ago, Joe. I have two Facebook pages. I have a professional page with a check mark that dates back to when I was on television, but I also have a personal Facebook page. And as it turns out, on the personal Facebook page, I could post, let's say, like for example, I posted the link to tonight's show. A link, a URL link or whatever will go up, or let's say an image will go up on my personal page. But if I try to type something like a message, there's a little box that appears right after I hit post saying your message is being processed. We'll let you know when it's going to go up. And this has been going on now for 3 or 4 days.
does the
That
message ever go up?
No, the message hasn't gone
Yeah.
up. It's been like three or
I
four
look,
days.
Facebook had that big outage about a week or so ago, and it's been very buggy. Uh, you're not alone. And I've talked to people that have had problems trying to get into their own Facebook pages. I there's there's a weather page that I post on along with my own that I can't get into and haven't been able to get into for the last week. So there's some buggy things going on.
Well, I hope they get it up, soon because I want to post pictures. I could do it on my professional page, but I mean, there are a lot of people who are, just strangers seeing those pictures. I want to post them on my Facebook personal page where all of my friends are, so that they
Well,
can look at it. The page, the pictures of my new grandson. So, it couldn't have happened at the worst time. By the way, Joe, Reuben Fairchild.
I saw.
Why is it you can't do the show from Florida? Oh, come on now with the days off.
I don't want to. I don't want to, I don't want to schlep my new computer down. I'm taking my old computer down with me. I don't want to bring my microphone. I don't want to interrupt dinner with friends in order to come. Not that I wouldn't like to do the show. It's not that, but I don't take vacations very often, if at all. For somebody who posts 7 days a week, I haven't
Reuben
missed.
Fairchild, give the guy a break. I was about to say this
God,
man has to do it 7 days a week, 24/7. He wants a little time off. And here you are saying, yeah, well, what the hell is this? Come on, give the guy a break.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
all I
if
have
you
to
want,
say.
we could, if you want, we could go be like Johnny Carson and go to a 3-day work week and 12 weeks vacation. We could do
Exactly.
that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyhow, all right. I appreciate the compliment that you can't live your life without us. By the way, the AMS seal is back. I finally got around to putting that back on. So our AMS seal is showing. Uh, Busy night tonight. The way, you didn't get any snowflakes at all today?
If there was, I didn't notice it. I've been down in my office much of the day, just knocking out. eclipse articles for space.com, which I hope to submit either later tomorrow or Tuesday. So this way I can get that out of the way. But other than that, I know, I mean, the ground is wet, so we must have had some kind of precipitation. I presume it was showers because, again, it was mostly in the upper 30s, and now the wind is blowing out there. Took the dog out a while ago, so and you know what, Joe? Another thing that annoys me is the fact that you and I were talking back on, I think, Wednesday about how strong the winds were going to be later on Sunday and Monday and even Tuesday, and I even said I wouldn't be surprised if there was some wind advisories or wind warnings or whatever posted because of this. And the fact is that up until just a couple of days ago, the forecast for, let's say, Monday and Tuesday was like for, sunshine and clouds, breezy, breezy. And I'm saying, like, I said, what are you talking about with breezy? It's going to be windy. And then finally they got around this morning. My daughter has programmed Alexa now in our kitchen to flash. It's like as if I had notifications. I say, Alexa, what are my notifications? And instead of telling me about the latest shopping deals from Amazon, she's telling me about the Weather Service issuing wind advisories and high wind warnings. And I'm screaming at her because I'm saying, "You dummy!" It's not Alexa's fault, but I mean, like, what the heck's going on? I mean, like, we knew this was going to happen. Why didn't they promote this? Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on or move forward. We'll move. John Melander says he's back. LOL.
Who's back?
You, I guess. I don't know.
Wait a second. Second. No. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. I don't know what happened there, folks. Whoa, that was weird. No audio, no. I'm trying to see how far back. I didn't touch anything. That was really strange. Very strange. I gotta check something here. Hold on a second. Uh, why is this? Uh, yeah, that's the right mic. Okay, yeah, I mean that was really weird. I don't know what happened, folks. It's just really bizarre. Very, very bizarre. I didn't touch anything. All of a sudden the audio stopped. Now it's back. Okay, it's back. Let's not labor the point. Okay.
Right.
Um, so on the watches and warnings map, we've got wind advisories up from Maine to western North Carolina, and I don't know if they still have them up for me. They have a little yellow there. Let me see if that's for Union County. Yes, I'm still under a wind advisory. It actually has been quite windy today. Didn't barely made it back to 50 after getting down to 35 this morning after some early clouds. We had a nice day with the bright sunshine, but the winds are going to howl. I think the strong, Joe, I think you'll agree with me. The strongest part of the winds will probably be, I would say, from like mid-morning tomorrow to late afternoon, when there might be some gusts of 45 or even 50 miles an hour,
Yes, hold on to your hats, folks.
especially in some mountainous areas, because this is going to be impacting inland areas as well. We have a few snow squall warnings up in eastern Pennsylvania. And I've gotten a few people telling me in various places in northern New Jersey, on Long Island, uh, and I'm sure also up in the Hudson Valley, but Joe's, locked up in the basement, so he can't really check to see if it's happening. But there have been some snow showers in the mix today, which is really no big surprise because of this big upper low, which I'll show you in a second. And we still have winter storm warnings up for parts of southwestern New York and northeastern Ohio, uh, northwest PA because of the lake effect that's going on. Also in north central and northeastern New York, a number of winter storm warnings there. Northern Vermont and southern Vermont are under winter storm warnings, but the middle part of Vermont is not. I don't know. They know better than I do. And I mean, don't you think that's kind of weird? Or is that my,
It is.
no, I'm sorry. It's my light. No, that's my mistake. The eastern counties are not. There's probably some shadowing going on there. Uh, so with the mountains, but again, it's kind of, there were some places in upstate New York that got hit with some very heavy snows, particularly in elevated areas, getting up to a foot in some areas. We've got in the west with a new weather system where there's not a whole lot of cold air in the west right now because all the quote unquote cold air, such as it is in the north, in the east. So we've got winter weather advisories in the Cascades and in the Sierra Nevadas with just a couple of winter storm warnings there. And just to talk about this upper low, just looking at the upper air going back to last Thursday, you can see this northern system that came down and intensified this upper low that moved over Pennsylvania, and this evening is actually sitting pretty much right over New York City, the center, the core of this uh, the cold air aloft is actually right over New York City. So that's create. We talked about this last Thursday about whether there might be enough instability to produce some rain and snow showers. And indeed, when you have a vigorous upper low like this, even though you don't have a whole lot of cold air at the low levels, you do have it upstairs, and it's doing its work. And of course, that upper low is going to be moving out to the east. And on the surface low is in central Maine, and the gradient is starting to tighten up west of the low, and there was some wind to the east of the low last night that created some coastal flooding problems. But now, of course, the story is to get this gradient that's going to tighten up tonight, and particularly during the day tomorrow. One thing about tomorrow, Joe, you're going to have a lot of mixing going on because um, I think you're going to at least have a fair amount of sunshine. Maybe some clouds will develop, but it's not going to be like today. And, in March, when the sun goes to work and as strong as it is and produces some daytime heating in a situation like this, that could really create some gusty winds during the mid morning to late afternoon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the time of the year, March into April. And why do you think, everybody talks about March being the month to fly kites? That in part is the reason we get those gusty winds caused by atmospheric instability. And of course, we're transitioning now. We've just begun the transition from winter to spring-like temperatures, and that helps to stir the atmosphere up, mix things up. So you just got to live with it. Of course, we have the storm departing to the north and east of our area, and that helps to provide a rather tight pressure gradient, which is only going to add to our woe, if you will. If you're concerned about maybe losing power or power lines coming down with the strong gusty winds, something you'll have to be aware of over the next 24 to 36 hours.
Oh, and by the way, the rainfall in most areas in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, and probably beyond that, in the first 10 days of March, anywhere from 4 to maybe as much as 6 or 7 inches in some places. So we've already gotten the average rainfall for the month of March, and some places are 50, 60, 70% above that already. And
Crazy.
we still have two-thirds of the month to go. Weather fronts come into the west, and that's bringing, as we said, some snow up into the mountains. There's not much in the way of cold air. We're not really dealing with a fairly intense system here, so there's not a whole lot to work with. And in the middle, it's just been kind of nice. I'm looking at 60s in Kansas today, 60s in Nebraska, 60s in South Dakota, 50s in North Dakota, and that air is coming eastward. So we're going to warm up fairly quickly, starting on Tuesday. And I'm thinking depending on wind direction and clouds, uh,
will decide who gets to eventually on one of those days late in the week, Thursday and Friday probably, either one or both, where we could see some 70s in some places.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, now we're really late into the season, and it is certainly a possibility, especially if we have enough sunshine. So, and but uh, it still looks, Joe, like we might be looking, let's say, right after St. Patrick's Day, which is next Sunday, that we may see a surge of much chillier or colder air invade the central and especially eastern United States. And in fact, social media is buzzing with the potential for some kind of a winter type storm sometime around the first day of spring, which would be 19th, 20th, um, with a coastal system. So, you know, crazy month is the month of March, and we may see more craziness coming our way over the next week or 10 days.
A lot of the ensembles for days have been showing a fairly strong trough in the long range, right in that time frame, the January 19th, 20th, and they haven't let go of it. The operational models have gone in all sorts of different directions. The European AI model was showing a big coastal storm late last week for about 5 or 6 runs in a row. Then it kind of lost it. The regular operational brought it back today. I think the jury is out on that at this point because it's still 8 or 9 days from now. So we'll see what transpires over the next week. In the meantime, uh, here's your satellite loop this evening. You can see the big arm of moisture now moving through Atlantic Canada and over Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. I think it was one of our posters here on the chat board earlier, Jason Fox, I believe it was, says they set snowfall. They set a daily snowfall record with 20 inches in St. John's, Newfoundland. So it's snowing somewhere. Just go up to Atlantic Canada. Ari Mack, thank you for hitting super chat tonight, saying on the tip jar today, saying good evening. Winter is not over yet in Passaic, New Jersey. So I'm translating that to mean that you probably have some snow showers going uh, on there. But uh, again, you can see the upper low shows up pretty well on the satellite here. The signature of that upper low swinging across Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. You're getting the lake effect going on. The center of that upper low is, pretty close to New York City by 8 o'clock tonight, and then it goes on its merry way. So once we get this trough to pull out, we can start to warm things up a bit. That the subtropical jet from the Pacific is still hanging around from the southern tip of Baja into Texas and across the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see the moisture coming into the western United States. The middle country part of the country is nice. The southeast was nice today, but cold. And here's the radar. And oh, that snow squall warning is gone. Oh, there were two snow squall warnings in eastern Pennsylvania, just west of Allentown, between Allentown and I-81, and it's gone. And
Yep.
then there's and then there was another one in central PA, little small one there. Now that's gone. So, you snooze, you lose around here. And got some showers and maybe some snow too. I think William Uber on the chat board saying where he is in central Long Island, he's got rain and snow mixed over Long Island. Looks like a pretty hefty area of shower activity over the eastern third of Long Island in that dark green and yellow cell that's showing up there. And you've got various patches of lake effect throughout upstate New York, northwest PA, eastern Ohio, north central New York. Got some rain up in New Brunswick. So, we're dealing with the leftovers here. And the good thing is that we're four systems in, well, we started last Saturday, so four systems in 8 days. And now we're going to get a break and we're going to warm up. And no rain. It doesn't look like we're going to get much in the way of rain this work week anyway.
Well, again, we could use a bit of a break from all of this, and the thing is that in the month of March, they say April can be the cruelest month, but March can be cruel too, lulling us into the false sense of security that spring is finally here. Temperatures rising into the 60s later in the week, maybe approaching 70 for some, as we just mentioned. And then right after St. Patrick's Day, boom, this expected sweep, and again, most of the models are suggesting or showing it of much chilly or unseasonably cold air that'll be arriving here again, maybe right around the time of the beginning of astronomical spring. So enjoy what we have or what we're going to get in terms of a nice rise in temperature because it will then be swept away, it looks like, by the time we get to
This time
the,
next week,
well, this time next week or a little bit beyond.
or a little bit beyond that.
Yeah.
Uh, got some rain in the northwest, rain coming into California, snow in the eastern parts of Washington and northern Idaho. And the WPC is looking at, uh, let's go to 5 day rainfall. Let's go to 4 day rainfall. So this takes us to Thursday night. So no through Thursday night, no rain in the east from Maine to Georgia, and also back to parts of the Tennessee and lower Ohio Valley. But we do have uh, precip from Colorado and Wyoming and northern New Mexico, northeastward across Nebraska, and to the lower Great Lakes, a half to three-quarters of an inch there. Also in parts of central and northeast Texas, southeast Oklahoma, into Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, anywhere from a quarter to a half inch. And if we bring it out to 7 days, so this takes us to next Sunday night, we do have a quarter to a half from Maine to Virginia, and across the south, quite a bit of rain, an inch and a half plus, western South Carolina, southwest North Carolina, and eastern Tennessee, southwestward into eastern Texas. And there's an area here of 5 to 7 inch rainfalls from eastern Louisiana northeastward through Mississippi and Alabama. Um, have you looked at the drought monitor down there? Because through most of the winter, even though they've been getting rainfall across that part of the South, they still had that a lot of that area in extreme drought. Can you check that?
I'll check it right now.
Okay, let me know when you have it, and then we can show it.
Okay, I've got it.
All right, so let me get the screen ready for you, which it is, and let's switch you back. So knock yourself out.
Okay, well, down across the Southland, I did mention last week, I think I mentioned it on Thursday, that it amazes me is that Arizona, which was pretty much out of drought problem based upon all the rains from last summer, they're back into it now. And New Mexico, in fact, let me just, before we get to the Gulf Coast, just to show you here, here's New Mexico. And you could see that in this one area down here, they are in what is being categorized as exceptional drought. The next stage of red is extreme drought, covering much of the southern end of the state. They also have extreme drought going up into the north central part of the state of New Mexico. So not looking too good drought wise there. And if we take a look at the Southland, I'll tell you what, Joe, it looks better than it was. I mean, at least we don't see anything like, exceptional or severe drought in Louisiana. Now, for the most part, northern Louisiana and southern Louisiana are completely clear of any drought problems. Just some abnormally dry areas over north central and south central Louisiana. And across the central part of the state, right here, you've got that zone of salmon color indicating moderate drought. It's a lot better, though, than what they had, let's say, a month or two ago when they were in extreme or exceptional drought. So it has improved. It's not totally gone down there, but it has improved over Louisiana. And the only place really that has any kind of severe drought in line here would be Texas. Texas in central or south central Texas, extreme drought, and across westernmost sections of Texas, anywhere from severe to extreme. Most of the rest of Texas is, again, out in the clear with no real drought problems and just some patchy areas of abnormally dry conditions. So it doesn't look all that bad down in the south. They've improved a bit. Not completely gone, but at least there is at least evidence of improvement.
And I think a lot of the areas down like in Louisiana and Arkansas, there were still areas of exceptional drought like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it's good to see that that's gone. I also figured let me pull up the Canadian drought monitor because we had wildfire issues last year and with the smoke, and hopefully we don't see a repeat performance of that. But actually, a good chunk of Canada, Joe, is under either abnormally dry or worse. It's you can find a few places in southeast Canada where it's normal, but even here, parts of Nova Scotia, parts of Newfoundland, actually, uh, southeast Newfoundland, near where St. John's is under a severe drought. Northeast Labrador, much of Ontario province, a good chunk of there's Manitoba, says Saskatchewan, a good chunk of Saskatchewan. All of Saskatchewan province is either abnormally dry to severe drought, and then you get into Alberta, where you've got areas of extreme drought and even a few areas of exceptional drought there and in British Columbia. And this is, by the way, as of February 29th, 2024. So there may be some changes with the weather that's been up in the Pacific Northwest and particularly in southwestern Canada with a couple of big storms and big rounds of heavy rain in British Columbia. So I don't know how often they update this. I'm guessing that they did it on the last day of the month. Means that they probably only update this map either every couple of weeks or once a month. So we'll check
Yeah,
it.
unlike here in the United States, where every Thursday, actually the observations are made or taken on Tuesday. I guess they're made into a map, which is then posted on Thursday. So the data going into the next update here in the United States for drought will be on Tuesday of this week, the 12th, and we'll get a new map posted on social media on the 14th by the Climate Prediction Center.
So the probabilities of snow, and here we go with areas of 50% or higher probability throughout much of north central and northeast, either actually even into central New York and north central New York, northeastern New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and into northern Maine. That's a probability for at least two. Uh, they had some, obviously they had big snows in the elevated areas overnight and this morning. So we're sort of on the back side of this. So there's not a whole lot left for this to play on. And then we go out to the west where we see high probabilities in the Sierra Nevadas. I'm sorry, in the Cascades, but also in the Sierra Nevadas and up into the northern Rockies, with the probability of at least eight. And we have areas of 50% or higher up and down the Sierra, the Cascades. I'm getting them backwards today, Joe. My fault. The Cascades and up in the northern Rockies in Idaho and moving up into the Canada side. So this upper low goes out, and that puts us in a bit of a ridge position here in the eastern part of the United States. It's not the strongest ridge in the world, but it's enough ridging to at least keep rain out of here. And then as we move toward through the weekend, we've got this upper trough that's going to be dropping down from Canada into the Western Lakes and then swinging around. This is the 18th, the 19th, depending on what model you look at. The European is about a day slower, and that deep trough will bring some colder air into the eastern part of the United States, as Joe described. There's West Coast energy that's dropping southward into Arizona, but that's going to get left behind. It's going to be one of the few systems that's not going to be moving across, and then that the upper trough of the east pulls out, and then it looks like there's more Canadian troughing that gets into the eastern part of the United States as we go through the last days of the month. So it's kind of a coldish pattern. It's not a continuous coldish pattern where because the troughs do pull out, but then another colder trough comes in again. So if for you snow lovers, if you're looking for any kind of window, you're going to have to do it when these deep troughs drop into the eastern United States, and they're going to have to do it just right. you know what, Joe? It's highly unlikely that we're going to see anything. Which now that I've said that makes it all the more likely. But you know, I still got to think that it's a very long shot, and it would have to be perfect. I don't care what the models are showing in the long range. You got to set this up just right in order for something to happen from the standpoint of a late winter storm for the coastal Northeast. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it.
Well, as I always said, once we get past St. Patrick's Day, the odds become increasingly long for a significant snowfall, and that's absolutely. It looks like it's more obvious than ever this year with the way the winter has been so far. Even with the impending surge of colder air coming in after St. Patrick's Day, I agree with you. You're going to have to get everything. The setup would have to be just right. You even get the cold, well, you got to get the storm to interact with that cold air, and it's again. I'll say it again. The odds look long for that to happen, so we'll see.
And here's our surface this week. So here's your low pulling out. Northwest wind. The gradient is the tightest tomorrow into tomorrow evening. It's still a bit of a gradient here into Tuesday. It's not quite as tight. I mean, there's still a little bit of a gradient, but I don't think it's advisory type for Tuesday. But it will allow for some warming because the cold air is going out pretty quickly, and will warm up. And then you start to play games on starting with Wednesday. Uh, Light gradients, sea breezes. Some places are going to get into a south wind, inland versus coast, which makes it tough. We've also got some kind of low that's going to come out of Kansas and run up to our north. So you start playing games too with clouds. Are you going to get into clouds? Are you not going to get into clouds? I mean, this would kind of suggest that most of the clouds would be, to the north, but we'll have to see. So that'll determine whether somebody, we have a day where if there's some sunshine and the right wind, where temperatures could climb up and really outperform the guidance and get into the 70s. So that low goes by, and then there's another low that comes Friday night and Saturday, which the GFS seems to be squashing to the south. Although it does bring some rain up to southern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey Friday night and Saturday morning. But then that goes out, and then you've got a stronger front, and you see this colder air that's coming down. So there's one low that runs up ahead,
Joe,
and yes, did I lose
I,
audio again?
no, you didn't lose audio, but I know you're talking about specific maps, and I'm seemingly maybe it's the same for everybody else, but I'm still stuck on the Canadian drought map.
Oh, all right. Give yourself a refresh because I got mine's. I have the separate monitor here and it's working fine. So
Okay,
try refreshing your YouTube.
I will
Uh,
do that. Oh, yep. Okay.
so there you go. And here's how the GFS sees it anyway, which looks like a wave on a cold front that comes on by, and then we get a shot of cold air for Monday and Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. A brief warm up, and then I don't know. This is two runs where it tries to take a Gulf low and wrap it up like into a major storm moving up the East Coast toward, with a big rainstorm. Oh my, we haven't had one of those in a while, have we? Um, and this is for the 23rd, 24th. I don't know about how. I don't. It's too far out to really, get wrapped up. The Europe into it. Here's the European. Now, so the European's a little different because it's got that system that the GFS takes well to the north. The European actually has it further south, which actually brings some rain showers here, sort of a warm front setup for Friday. So that'll be interesting to see if that's right. And then because that'll impact temperatures at the end of the week. And it it's slower with bringing colder air down from Canada, but it does bring it down and has some kind of wave that comes out of the Gulf states on Monday the 18th and then runs up the east side of the Appalachians and redevelops over Chesapeake Bay and goes south of Long Island to Cape Cod. There is some colder air to play with in the inland areas with this, if the European is right. But, like as I said, the ensembles have kind of been showing this for days now, with deep troughing in the east for that time frame around March 19th, March 20th. So we'll come back to this tomorrow and see, you know, see what we think. Uh, I'm kind of I don't know. I'm not neither. I'm not one way or the other with this. Can't seem to get a feel for it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
So
I'm wondering how much weather we'll be able to talk about though with Nick tomorrow night. I mean, usually when we have a guest, we talk mostly about the person who is with us as opposed to actually. Although we could ask him,
we could
what
pull
he
some. We could pull. It might be like pulling teeth with a tweezer, but we could certainly try.
feels.
I'm sure Nick will, you know, opine his opinion if need be, if asked. Of course, he might be watching the show now and he's terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have Briller Jeopardy?
I don't. I don't think I do. Well, I
I
can
don't.
check.
I don't either. Can you check?
I will check. Hang on.
By the way, we're at 92 likes. So you think that we could get 8 more people to like us so that we could get to 100?
All right. Yes. Do we? Um, Monday 11. I think we did this. What are the top? Yeah, we did this. The top biggest box office movies. So no, I do not have Brother Jeopardy. I guess
Right,
you
and
don't
the
either.
last one I have is the one about the Oscars, which we did last week.
Right. Oh
All right,
well.
so I guess we don't. But Scott will probably send us one for tomorrow or Tuesday.
And I don't even know which one of us is going to get it. Who's next on the list?
I did the last one, so you'll probably get it.
I. All right.
All right. Well, you may ring the bell now.
I will try. There you go. Bell ringing, ladies and gentlemen, as we go past 100. And
Thank
so far as I
you.
can see, Joe, and so far as I can see, Joe, the only one who hit the tip jar tonight was Ari Mack,
Yes.
unless somebody else did.
Nope,
But
that's the only one. So I guess we're good here. I don't got much else to talk about. I'm just trying to think. Nothing very upset. I don't think my harmonica comes across. It blocks out the sound.
nope, it doesn't. It's not coming over here. So
Yeah, so you're not hearing it.
no.
It's blocking the sound. So I don't know. Audio is not my strong suit.
Maybe you ought to just adjust. Can you make it an audio adjustment on Zoom or
I tried that. It didn't work.
no? All right.
I have a
Thank
noise
you. Thank you.
canceling mic. I do. I know Christinapedia.
Thank you,
So I
Brendan Doherty, for hitting super chat.
thank you, Brandon Doherty.
Are you excited with the EC? We've
What's
looked
the
at the EC,
oh
and what we can say
oh
is
the EC is what? The European?
European, I think. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's still a little bit far.
I've been also looking at that oh, the eclipse he means.
Oh, with the eclipse?
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited with the eclipse, and in fact, the moon turned new this morning at about 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So um, the moon has now begun. It's in its orbit. It's now officially moving toward the next new moon phase, and the next new moon will be with the eclipse. Almost like a gigantic clock that has started, Joe, countdown clock. And right now, as of today, we're kind of like at well, we have 60 seconds. We're at 50, 58, or 59 seconds on the clock. And when it gets down to zero, of course, we'll have the eclipse. And hopefully, when the eclipse arrives, the weather will be nice here in our section of the world for that one
Hopefully
special
it's not
day.
the doomsday clock.
No, it's not. Not that I know of.
I think that's down to 30. They have it at 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, we know we're going to kill ourselves. Maybe not in our lives, but something will happen down the road. Some fool will do something, and that will start the chain reaction. But hopefully, it will not happen. Jason Fox, Eastern Blizzard of April 8th, 2024. LOL. We'll see. Hey, look, we had a blizzard on April the 6th, 1982. So it's not out of the question that it can happen. We'll see.
Right. Okay, on that note, let's call it a night, shall we?
Yes, surely.
Surely. Okay, the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description of this podcast. Use the coupon code WINTER2324. If you do, you'll get
10% off.
All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for the 110 likes. Nick Gregory tomorrow night at 7:35. Nighty night.
Nighty night, folks.